So the family knew that they wanted to work with Post, having worked with them previously on some of the barn builds. I had never worked on a construction project before, certainly not of this scale. So I was anxious to see what it would be like working with Post. And I remember that we had an initial conversation about what the idea was behind Summit Station, that we wanted it to kind of look like a train station, a combination of retail and processing. And I remember when the email came in from Herman Post with a preliminary design, and it happened like 48 hours of us having the meeting with them. And it was 99% what we had hoped for. And so that told me right away that, okay, this is a team that is excited, is enthused, is professional, and is going to be really great to work with as the project evolves.
So one of the things that I've always liked working with Post, whether it's on the farm side or whether it was this project, is we would do frequent walkarounds with either Tony or Herman looking at the project. Every month and a half of these walkarounds, looking at things, and they're picking out details that aren't quite right. That this needs to be touched up, this needs to be improved, this needs to be changed. It makes it so much easier for me that I don't need to be walking through the construction site every day looking for things that are wrong, because their standards are going to be higher than mine at the end of the day.
Having never built a building before, I have to say the Post team was incredible. Everyone just was professional and knowledgeable and friendly. When we set out to build our processing facility, I think our ideas were a little bit smaller in scale, and over the course of 3 years, the project grew. It grew aesthetically, it grew in size. When there are changes, I know that can be very frustrating for construction teams. And I have to say the Post team were so good at guiding us in what was possible, what wasn't, giving their advice. It was never an issue. Tony and Herman, they guided us in that process as we evolved the project. There was never any drama. They laid it out for us, what could happen, what was possible, gave us all of the information that we needed to make the right decision to move forwards.
Well, we had used Post for multiple different projects, and there was a trust level there. We very much knew that they were a great company to work with when we don't 100% know what the final product is going to look like. They're very adaptable, that as the project changes and the scope of the project changes, that they're willing to work with us to bring it to fruition.
I appreciated how clean the Post invoicing was. We got a very clear estimate, and all of the milestone invoicing was against the estimate. There were no surprises. When things were out of scope, it was clearly identified. I always trusted that it was accurate, and I really appreciated that.
I think ultimately the reason that we use Post and that we'll continue to use Post for future projects is there was no drama.